Chapter 2309 Moon Fragments 1. There was a sense of ease in King Arthur's words. After a months-long expedition into the underwater world, he gained access to the ancient ruins of a lost civilization and discovered many mysterious treasures. The relics left behind by the ancient civilization allowed him to grow rapidly. He had now reached the level of Black Bishop, the highest level in the human realm. In the coming time, I will continue to grow. The next Atlantis operation will be in a month, King Arthur said confidently. Sebastian frowned slightly. Are you in such a hurry? King Arthur said, Now is the best time. If you miss it, the next time may be a long time later. For some reason, entering Atlantis this time was surprisingly smooth. Originally, according to their predictions, after the third level of the ruins of Atlantis, they would definitely encounter very powerful sea creatures. But this time, they only encountered a sea monster of the bishop level. King Arthur vaguely felt that they might have encountered some unexpected events, and therefore their defenses had been relaxed. So he has to seize the opportunity and continue to make himself stronger, until the entire ruins of Atlantis are conquered. Sebastian took a deep breath, straightened his back, and said slowly, But now, there is another major problem before us. King Arthur looked at him curiously. What's the problem? Today, Britannia is one of the most powerful nations in the world. While its overall strength lags behind the two superpowers of Colombia and Huashu, it is a long-established power with a strong industrial base, and its Knights of the Round Table are among the most powerful of the world's major alien armies. No one really dares to invade them. In terms of strength, Asgard across the coast is surpassed by them. Of course, Asgard of the Europa Alliance faces much greater pressure than them. After all, they're surrounded by the Vatican Church, the Fremon's Pantheon to the north, and the Katuan Empire led by Saladin to the east. Sebastian did not answer the question directly, but took out a folded paper from his pocket and handed it to him. King Arthur took it, and Sebastian helped him unfold it. Look at this. The paper looks black and white, but it is actually in color, except that the objects in the image are originally gray and black. King Arthur looked over and saw an enlarged image of the moon's surface. It can be clearly seen that a huge crack has appeared in a corner of the moon, as if a piece of debris is about to fall. King Arthur frowned. Where is this? Moon. Sebastian pointed toward the sky. Right over our heads. King Arthur's frown deepened. Don't you want to tell me that this crack is real? Sebastian shrugged. In fact, since the apocalypse, people have devoted more energy to studying the land beneath their feet and rarely pay attention to the sky. If no one had brought it to our attention, we would not have noticed it. King Arthur asked, Who reminded you? My whiter brat. They told me straight away, when you weren't there. According to them, if such a large piece of lunar rock breaks off, it is very likely to fly directly to the planet we live on due to the influence of gravity. A fragment this large is enough to repeat the disaster that occurred tens of millions of years ago. The consequences would be even more terrifying than the arrival of the Ice Age. King Arthur stared at the photo in his hand and fell silent. The Knights of the Round Table below also heard their conversation and looked worried. The moon actually shattered? How did it do that? Even if I bombed it with the death of love, it wouldn't be possible, right? Could it be that there is some super powerful ancient civilization on the moon? The knights were talking among themselves, and Merlin walked over to the two of them and took a look at the picture in King Arthur's hand. After just one glance, he said, This crack seems to have come from within. External forces cannot create such a scar. King Arthur said, You mean there might be an ancient civilization inside the moon? But why would they destroy the moon? Merlin lowered his eyes, opened his lips slightly, took 2 deep breaths, and then slowly said, Is there a possibility that something sealed in the moon is about to break the seal? These words made King Arthur unable to remain calm. His arm has been restored. Although the color still looks a bit spliced, it does not affect its use. He clenched his fist and said in a deep voice, Are you saying that there is a giant god Druk on the moon? As the truth of history is slowly revealed, many powerful forces in the world have heard the story of the 7 ancient giants of the Druk clan. It is a kind of existence that can devour anything in order to survive. They can even eat soil, drink magma, and be sealed in the endless dark seabed, yet still live forever. Even if the creator used the power allowed by the rules, he could not completely wipe out this ethnic group. And over billions of years, the 7 most powerful demons that survived this race have become the nightmare of all races in the entire material world. Once they resurrect, any race will be destroyed by them. The only ones who have truly defeated them are the ancient god-level civilization race, the Yin clan. But they could only seal and suppress the Drux, but could not kill them completely. As for the various races of later generations, they did not succeed in eliminating the Drux, but instead slowly went to extinction. Some people also believe that the so-called mass extinction was actually the creator's move to curb the Drux. The other races simply suffered unexpected disasters. I heard that the people from the Holy See organized a sealing operation before and successfully sealed Mammon, one of the 7 deadly sins. That is to say, the 7 deadly sins have not been completely broken. We still have a chance to seal them, right? King Arthur asked the 2 of them. Sebastian said, "Who knows? History has been cut off, and everything can only be guessed through fragments of mythology. But it's hard for us to have any other choice. Because the cost of failure is something neither you nor I can afford." Britannia hadn't prepared any underground shelters in advance. Shallow shelters built a few thousand meters below the surface were useless against an impact of this magnitude. Chapter 23 10 Moon Fragments 2. King Arthur looked at Sebastian. What did the Tong organization say? Sebastian looked at him and said, "Let's put aside the grudges among humans for the time being and unite with the inhuman organizations in other countries around the world to prevent the outbreak of this disaster. We'd better pray that everything is just our imagination. But we have to prepare for the worst. Because once the 7 deadly sins truly revive, we, the 6th generation of humanity, will have no choice but to wait for extinction." Sebastian was extremely calm when he spoke, even though his words would be enough to shock the whole world if they were spread. Human beings today are still too weak. The most powerful alien is only at the bishop level. In front of the fully revived demon god, he is at most a microorganism, let alone an ant. King Arthur leaned back in his chair. The entire hall was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. They gradually faded from the excitement of conquering the 3rd level of Atlantis and fell into a new predicament. Then what else is there to say? King Arthur's deep voice echoed in the hall. He leaned against the throne and sneered, "Since we can't avoid it, then let's fight for humanity's chance to survive." Sebastian puffed out his chest. "There is a second option. We will contact the Tong organization and, as previously agreed, send a small number of people to the deep underground shelter they built. Or seek refuge at the human survival base on Mars. Britannia has a quota of 100 people." King Arthur interrupted directly. "No need. Rather than abandoning your own tribe like a bug and choosing to live in disgrace, I, King Arthur, would rather fight like a warrior." He stood up with his hands on the handrails, his tall figure casting a long shadow in the hall. "The meaning of life is not in how long you live. I would rather bloom brilliantly and then die. That kind of life can be called a life." King Arthur's words also inspired the fighting spirit of the other knights of the Round Table. They have lived a wonderful life, fought battles, and experienced many passions and joys that cannot be experienced in peacetime. They fell in love with the thrilling feeling of fighting against the sky, and no one wanted to be a coward. Rather than dying, they would rather die in battle like heroes. In their own names, in the names of those legendary heroes among their code names. Then let's fight. I've never been to the moon, so if I can die here, that's fine. If we retreat now, what will all our efforts and struggles over the years be for nothing? There's no need to hesitate. No matter if they are the 7 deadly sins or gods, demons or monsters, kill them all. Merlin narrowed his eyes, smiled, and said, "I think things are getting interesting. But maybe it's not as bad as we thought. After all, those super ancient civilizations that were more powerful than ours must have understood all this before us." If they don't take any action, it means it's not a major event like the demon god's revival. King Arthur waved his hand and said, "You may be right. But even with the meteorite falling, humanity still cannot escape the fate of widespread extinction. No matter what, we have to take action." Merlin looked at the tall and heroic figure of King Arthur with a look of tenderness and obsession in his eyes. He nodded. "My king, you are right. We will follow your footsteps unwaveringly." The changes on the moon gradually began to ferment among various countries. When Huashu Kingdom received this news, Zhang Yi was in seclusion. Among the team, the person who received the news was Yang Xinxin. After this battle, everyone knew that Yang Xinxin was the brain of Zhang Yi's team. Many times when encountering major events, it was Yang Xinxin who helped Zhang Yi with advice. Yang Xinxin took a look at the news and just raised her eyebrows. "The moon is cracked," she said to Manhwa, the person who delivered the message. "Thank you for reminding me. I'm already aware of this matter. I will definitely pass this message on to Hundan later." But after the call ended, she did not show any panic. If the drug Protoss had truly revived, then this world would have been in chaos long ago. Therefore, something else must have happened on the moon. Let me think about it. I guess there must be other ancient human civilizations on the moon. Yang Xinxin quickly guessed the key point of the question. The universe is vast and boundless. The Creator created the material universe simply to create this perfect environment for the planets. Because the outside world is desolate and full of dangers. Star regions may be destroyed, swallowed by black holes, or destroyed by collisions between star regions. Therefore, the vast majority of ancient civilizations chose to retreat underground. Only planets are the safest place, protected by the Creator's rules. So, the moon must have been created by humans. Ancient civilizations had very advanced technology, so it's not impossible to capture an asteroid and change its trajectory so that it's closer to the orbit of a planet. Yang Xinxin talked to herself, all kinds of possibilities already coming to her mind. It's not as terrible as I imagined. However, if the crack continues to expand, it's possible that it will fall to the surface of the planet. That would be really troublesome. She was not in a hurry, as getting anxious about such things wouldn't do much good. And even if the moon really collapses and meteorites fall to the Earth, they can hide in the underground refuge base of the Wulwan Empire. The Wulwan Empire is located more than 20,000 meters underground, and it also has several small refuge spaces located around 40,000 meters underground. As long as you escape there, you basically don't have to worry about meteorite impacts. Yang Xinxin had thought of all the possibilities, so she was not in a hurry at all. Let's wait until my brother comes out of confinement and let him make the decision. This is all very interesting, isn't it? An excited smile appeared on Yang Xinxin's face, and her eyes flashed with obsidian light. It's so interesting to see all this unfold. Lu Karen's laboratory. Lu Karen was extremely busy during this period. Most of the time, she had to repair the damaged mechanical life forms. Of course, she didn't repair it herself, but let the engineering mechanical life form repair it itself. She just needs to grasp the whole process. But in addition to this job, she also has to integrate the advanced technologies collected from the Wulwan Empire. Lu Karen enjoyed doing this and asked Zhou Qier and Yang Xia to help her use their abilities to eliminate fatigue so that she could work day and night. Suddenly one day, she received a piece of information from her engineering mechanical life form. Chapter 23 11 Moon Fragments 3. Xinxin, where is my brother? Lu Karen ran over hurriedly with a box and met Yang Xinxin on the way. Yang Xinxin looked at Lu Karen's excited and anxious expression and couldn't help but ask, "What happened? I rarely see you so flustered." Lu Karen picked up the box in his hand and said excitedly, "Do you still remember that there was a black box in the ruins we excavated in Fremons? I finally cracked the data in here. When they went to Fremons, the Tsongyuan tribe had been excavating the remains of the Yihan tribe. Zhang Yi also found such a place at the beginning. Among them is a house made of special materials, with a huge statue inside, and a special black box similar to a memory was also found. Zhang Yi didn't understand that thing either, so he gave it to Lu Qian and asked her to crack it slowly. More than half a year had passed, and Zhang Yi was about to forget about the incident. But unexpectedly, at this moment, Lu Qian's engineers deciphered the information in the black box. When she saw the information, she immediately ran over to find Zhang Yi, because the information recorded in it is too important and too explosive. Yang Xinxin knew that Zhang Yi was currently reflecting on the battle with Zhenglu, hoping to use his opponent as a teacher to improve his own strength and his understanding of his special abilities. Brother hasn't come out yet. Tell me what's going on first. The two of them had a very good relationship and were best friends, so Lu Qian opened the black box in front of Yang Xinxin. The black box actually contains a video recording of information about ancient civilizations, recorded by the room's owner before his death. The two projected the video in the room. In the camera, there is a human from the Yihan tribe who looks similar to humans, facing the camera. He looked ordinary, completely different from powerful warriors like Ling. He felt like an ordinary experimenter. Hello, future intelligent beings. By the time you see this video, I will be dead. And the division of the Yihan people has already occurred irreversibly. My name is Hitsong. I'm a member of the Yihan tribe who, after an official referendum, decided to remain human and survive after transforming into an informational life form. Hitsong said a lot, and Lu Qian and Yang Xinxin listened to his story quietly. Throughout the process, he told many stories, including his own life and the general history of the Yihan tribe. It was not until the end that he talked about the so-called Great Split of the Yihan tribe. It turned out that there was a huge disagreement on the eve of the Yihan tribe entering the Tianyu Palace and abandoning their physical bodies to become information life forms. Not all Yihan people are willing to give up their physical bodies. And among these people, 3 factions emerged. The first faction is the Ascension faction, which occupies the vast majority of the Yihan clan. They understand the truth of the world and are unwilling to survive as Kagawa's tools, so they choose to hide from this world and enter the Tianyu Palace. The second faction is the Conservatives, people like Hitsong. They are ordinary people. Although they have no special contribution to make in this world, they believe that endless life is boring. Therefore, they choose to live as Yihan people until death. The third faction is the Radicals. They believe that the actions of the Ascendants and Conservatives are cowardly. Although they possess the most powerful technological power and the powerful spiritual power bestowed by the Creator, they are unwilling to fight against the ferocious and barbaric Druks. The Radicals did not become information-based life forms, but stayed in the outside world and continued to fight with the Druckers. The subsequent Yihuan people were trained by them. In other words, these radicals who stayed in the outside world are the 4th generation of angels of the Yihuan tribe. When the matter came to this, an unusual light appeared in Yang Xinxin's eyes. Her beautiful eyes widened slightly, and a strong wave of emotion appeared in her heart. The Yihan clan hasn't completely disappeared. Are they still in this world? She had witnessed with her own eyes how powerful the Yihan people were. Even the giant god Druk would find it difficult to invade the Tianyu Palace where they live. And among such a powerful race, there are still people alive? Restraining the shock in her heart, Yang Xinxin decided to continue listening to Hitsong finish the story. Next, Hitsong told the story of the 3 groups' subsequent fate. The Yihan people have a very long lifespan. If calculated based on the human lifespan, ordinary people with physical bodies can live for thousands of years. During the time that Hitsong survived, he also witnessed with his own eyes the paths that the 2 different branches took. The Ascension sect hides itself in a parallel dimension and no longer pays attention to what is happening in the outside world. A small number of radical Yihan people, due to their extremely high spirituality, are still able to communicate with the Creator. This is how the story of the Awan people and the Yak people appeared in later generations. Instead of going underground to avoid the Druks, the radicals used the technological power of that era, which was powerful enough to surpass the solar system, to capture an asteroid passing through the solar system and pull it into the planet's orbit. This planet was later called the satellite of the moon. From then on, the radical Yihan people lived on the moon. While actively searching for the purpose of their lives, They also abide by the promise they made to their creator, Kagago, to restrain the power of the Drux. Hutsong finally said, "That planet hanging high in the sky, visible only at night, always has only one side facing this planet where humans live and never reveals its back. This is because the radical Ihan people live on the back of the moon. We conservatives did not enter a parallel universe, nor did we go to the moon. We chose to say our final farewell to the land that gave birth to us and nurtured us. For hundreds of years before our death, we continued to observe the moon and the Drux. We also provided some intelligence to the radicals on the moon. This is like a game, an interesting game that we play before we stop reproducing and collectively prepare to return to the etheric world." Having said that, Hutsong's video ends here. Lu Karen glanced at Yang Xinshin beside him. Yang Xinshin's face was still calm, but the black tide that kept shaking in her eyes revealed her uneasy heart. The race that exists on the moon is actually a second-generation god-level civilization. This is incredible. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.